What motivates you? What energizes you to do all of this?
I'm really, really motivated by our team. Take really seriously your leadership role. So I have 100 team members that are relying on us to make good decisions and move the business forward and create opportunity for them.
Yeah.
And I've met almost all of their significant others and their kids and their families, and they're relying on us. So that's very, very motivating for me. I also think that, this has been a transition for me over the last probably decade or so. I think business can make the greatest impact in the world. Like good change will come about because of good businesses and the ripple effect that a well-run business can have on a community is massive.
Welcome to Reframe Fix, hosted by Jake Smith, brought to you by Workbench. Real conversations about leadership, the stories behind the scenes, and what it takes to go from stuck to scaling.
Tony Julianelle, welcome to the Reframe Fix.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. We always start this conversation the same way. What makes a great leader?
Oh, wow. It's a great question. I think love makes a great leader.
Love.
Yeah.
That feels very 60s, 70s.
Golly, scary.
Hippie.
Yeah.
Say more.
I think, when I think back on the leaders that I've grown under and over many, many years, the people that had the greatest impact on me loved me. They cared about me. And I guess maybe it helps to define love, right? C.S. Lewis said love is wanting the greatest possible good for another person.
Wow.
And I think if you can be the kind of leader who authentically, genuinely wants the greatest possible good for the people you lead, that's going to be monumentally different in any marketplace.
Well, it definitely isn't conventional wisdom that you hear the majority of leaders saying leadership is.
Right.
It's highly aspirational. But what does that look like in practice?
That's good. I think it doesn't have to be aspirational. I think what it looks like in practice, think about all the things that, great leaders are inspiring, great leaders are motivating, great leaders drive for results, great leaders make an impact, like all these other things. Like, what inspires and motivates all of that? Like, what's the animating feature that causes you to?
It's not a compensation package and equity and
it probably starts there for most people. It did for me on my leadership journey.
Yeah.
But it runs out really fast. Like that's what do they call it? Like it's a fast burning fuel, right? Right. It's all of a sudden it's like,
high
wait a minute,
octane,
I need more
fast.
and I need more of it. And you keep thinking that more and more is going to do it, and it never does. So when you hopefully recenter as a leader at some point, and it probably happens, I'm in my midlife, so I'm reading a lot about midlife and kind of first and second half of life stuff. Yeah. And I think it starts to happen somewhere in there that you go, oh, this just isn't all that satisfying.
You built the container.
Yeah.
And then you found that it didn't hold what you thought it would hold.
That's right.
Say more about your experience.
Yeah. I always think about every time someone asks a question like this, I think about Cindy Tomczak.
Who's Cindy Tomczak?
Cindy Tomczak was my boss in the mortgage business at Wells Fargo. Can I name names?
Absolutely.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
At Wells Fargo.
If you want to drop names to impress us.
I have no names to drop, but I have names to name.
Okay, great.
Cindy hired me. I was young. I was 20, early 20s, so probably not 25, or maybe just turned 25. And she hired me as a branch manager in the mortgage business in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And she shouldn't have, like on paper. And I asked her years later, like, why'd you do this?
Yeah.
And she said, I knew when we shook hands and I looked you in the eye that you were the kind of person I wanted on our team.
Well, that feels exactly like something you'd hear in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Doesn't it though? And I remember Cindy, she hired me, long story short, just wildly successful in the business, really well thought of. And she hired me and some things kind of blew up in the business and other parts of the business. And she just kind of like left me alone for a while. And she called me one evening and it was after hours, 6, 7 o'clock at night. My wife was a nurse and worked 12-hour shifts. So I just did the same thing. You know, I worked whatever hours she worked, plus some probably.
There you go.
And I answered the phone and she says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm thinking about buying a boat. And it's my boss, you know, and she goes, oh, that's a great idea. Let's talk about it. And we talked about buying a boat. And she said, how's Sarah doing? And I said, oh, you know, she's doing great. She's an ICU nurse. She's loving it. And we had a 45-minute conversation about boats and family. And she's like, all right, I'm glad you're doing well. I just wanted to check in on you. And that was it. She didn't ask, what are your numbers looking like? It was none of that. And yet.
Wait, no KPIs?
No KPIs, no OKRs. I don't think those existed back 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget. I know that sounds so weird and random that conversation is like etched in my memory of like.
Yeah. What was so important about it?
She just cared
cared.
me.
She
cared about what I cared about. She cared about, always asked. And to this day, Cindy will call me. We're still friends.
No way.
And she will say, how is Sarah? Tell me I want to know everything about the kids. And when I look back now on that team, we were the top performing region in the country.
Yeah.
Out of Nebraska. You know, these aren't high loan amounts, right? And everyone on that team would have run through a wall for Cindy because they knew Cindy would do it for them. And that was like a bar for me, you know, to understand. And you go back even further when I left college, the guy that hired me into the mortgage business became my first mentor, married my wife and I, is a very dear friend to this day.
Yeah.
And just kind of loved me. Like, I know it sounds weird, right? But he cared about me and he wanted to see me grow and develop and he wanted me to get what I wanted, right?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. Well, I agree with you. Here's why I agree with you. I think that the most fundamental human need is our desire to be loved and to love.
Yeah.
And this comes up all the time in coaching sessions that I have with leaders is because we start talking about, I know that you'll know this language, but we'll start talking about survival strategies. So these narratives, these strategies that you develop over time, essentially they're protective mechanisms.
Yeah.
They're born out of our family of origin story. But it was to either one, make us feel worthy or valuable enough to get the love that we so deeply want and desire. Or if we already have that love, is like, do not take this away from me.
Yeah.
And so like, I've got to do X, Y, or Z. I need to perform at whatever level, you know, all the striving, all the achieving that we typically see like in the business world that goes into that. But it ultimately is about, I mean, this is getting really philosophical, but ultimately at its core is like, am I worthy of love?
Right.
Are you willing? Yeah. Am I worthy of love?
Right. Right. Yeah. I think so many successful people are driven by the need to answer that question.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Fundamentally, it's right there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think often it can create cultures of competition and distrust and this need. For me, it was a need to prove I was worthy of love, right? So I couldn't be wrong. I couldn't.
Yeah.
There's these things that just create this culture where now the actual outcomes of the business are held back by the fact that I'm competing with my peer rather than collaborating with my peer,
Right.
that I'm proving something rather than searching for the best answer, right?
Yeah.
So, when I look at our team today, the amount of trust among our leadership team is massive. And it means we get to have better conflict. We fight, and we fight well. That should lead us to better decisions over time. And we don't waste any time on kind of the politics, if you will, that are so often the case. Posturing and positioning and manipulating and all the stuff that goes on when I feel like I'm trying to prove myself and be worthy of love, right?
Yeah.
So if I can get rid of that, I think you get to better results.
So how do you do that?
And great question.
Pause for just a second.
Yeah.
So, hey, today you're CEO of Atlas.
Yeah.
But give 60 seconds of how did you get to where you are today in your current role?
Yeah. I went to school in Chicago and was hired right out of school into the mortgage business. What was then Norwest Mortgage. So depending on your listeners, they may or may not remember that name.
Well, I remember, I've been in Denver for 30 plus years, and I remember Norwest Bank.
Norwest Bank, that's right.
Yeah.
And in the late 90s, Norwest actually bought Wells Fargo and kept the brand name, as they should. And so that was the beginning of my career. I spent 20 years at Wells Fargo in the residential mortgage business and moved around a few times for the company. In 2018, there was a restructuring of the leadership of the organization, and I had a choice of either relocating again or ending my career at Wells Fargo. And it was an easy choice. It was a hard thing to live through, a position elimination, right? When I imagined my whole life would be at Wells Fargo and that I would retire from there and have this great career. I had a great career. So grateful for what I learned at Wells. I joined Atlas at the end of 2018, and two founders, Ryan and Jason, asked me to come and join them as a third partner. And we've grown from being a property management company in Colorado to now we operate in 15 states. We do institutional acquisition and disposition work for single-family rental owners. And we own and operate an institutionally funded single-family rental portfolio, as well as still doing property management for third-party owners, guys like you and me who own real estate as part of our attempt at wealth accumulation. And we manage just about 6,000 rental properties. So that's our business.
Total number of employees.
We have about 100 team members in the U.S.
Yeah.
And we employ about 50 people in Mexico. And they're actually our team members. So we don't use an outsourcing firm to do that. We go direct, and we have an amazing team in Mexico. In fact, our holiday party was last week, and we had 10 or so of our Mexican team members come to Denver and celebrate with us. And yeah, it's really cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's the container that you operate in today. So to go back to the question is this idea of how do you just like, if what makes a great leader is love.
Yeah.
What intentional things do you do to communicate that or to show that?
Well, I think it's probably important to caveat, love doesn't mean that you're not driving for results. Okay. So I think sometimes I think you said a minute ago, it's kind of a little bit of a hippie response, right? And, which I've never been accused of being a hippie. Although
I wanted to accuse you of being a hippie.
Yeah. Although I tend to lean that way the older I get, I think.
All the sauna that you're doing that we were talking about earlier.
Saunas and cold plunges and Um, I think it starts with you have to do your own work and take seriously. If you're going to lead people, you should take that really seriously. And I think a lot of people move into leadership roles because of, either compensation packages or
Prestige.
prestige. They're proving something like we talked about.
Yeah.
If you want to lead people, take very seriously that people's livelihoods are in your hands, and take seriously the role that you play, the headspace or the mind space that you take up for that person. And I think that's something that leaders often overlook. So in taking that seriously, you should do your own work and dig into, get real coaching from a guy like you.
I think I know. Well, I think I know what you're saying when you say do your work, but expound on that for the benefit of listeners.
Someone shared this clip with me recently, and it was a clip about generational empathy. I don't know if you ever heard this term.
No.
I had not. But the idea was we're all mad at our parents because they didn't do the therapy and the healing work that we've all been able to do.
Yeah.
And how kind of silly that is, because the resources available to us today to do our work look very differently than they looked 50 years ago or 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think there's wisdom in that. And the reality is we're surrounded by resources now that we should take advantage of, whether that's actual therapy, which has been wildly helpful to me, whether it's coaching, which has been incredibly helpful to me as well. I think they're two very different things. I think they kind of intersect at times, but I've had both deeply impactful therapists and deeply impactful coaches over the years that have just, I think in a very good way, held up a mirror effectively, so that I could see myself, I think more accurately, if that makes sense. And in that, do the work, right? Be able to see, I do get defensive when I shouldn't. I do get angry too easily. I do. There's a great book I would recommend on this. It's called The Human Operating System. It was written by Jack Nicholson and Rob Murray.
I'm guessing a different Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, sadly not the anger management actor. Although Jack did more to help me with anger management than anyone. Jack is a coach and therapist and wildly impactful for me. And I wrote the foreword for the book. And Jack asked me, he called me and he said, I want you to write the foreword for this book. And I said, no, you don't. You need a big name. You need a recognizable name to write your foreword. And he said, nope, I want someone to write it who I know their life was changed by the work. And in the foreword, I tell the story of my teenage son saying to me, my sister's got a better dad than I got. And me saying, yep, you're absolutely right. They did, because I was able to do this work. And I think it impacts every area of your life, and every leader should consider, what work should I be doing to continue to improve who I am, so that I have something to give to these people that I say I'm leading.
The Reframe Fix is a podcast from Workbench. When growth creates pressure, Workbench helps CEOs and leadership teams cut through complexity, align their people, and scale with confidence, bringing clarity through executive coaching and strategic planning. Learn more at workbench.co.
So Jack wanted somebody to write the foreword that had actually seen real change.
That's right.
And so what did you see in the mirror? What change did you?
Yeah. I think most fundamentally was understanding the roles that I played in kind of the formation of this ideal self that I had created. So it's a little bit Jungian, right? This ideal self and shadow self. And one of the things that Jack said to me that I just resonated so deeply was the energy that it takes to hold up this ideal of you while suppressing the shadow parts of you
Yeah.
is the energy that leads to breakdown, midlife crisis. You can't do it. Like eventually you just run out of steam.
Yeah.
So what does it look like to just go, I'm going to take all of this kind of shadowy stuff that isn't great.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of let go of this ideal stuff. I'm just going to be who I am. And I think I think the right term for that is vulnerability. And I do think vulnerability is the path toward trust when it comes to leadership. So the ability to be vulnerable, and don't confuse vulnerable with, I think often we think transparent and vulnerable are the same thing.
They're very different.
Right? Like vulnerable, I don't know your definition. What's your definition of vulnerable?
Yeah. So from a workbench perspective, we actually talk about the two dynamics that exist in leadership are vulnerability and authority. And we'll talk about that one is not better than the other. Everybody has a default. So my default in leadership is vulnerability. I can guess your default. But what would you say between those two?
My default's authority.
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed.
Yeah.
And the secret is, how do you actually embrace both appropriately and contextually in any given situation? And there are hundreds each day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because we have a default dynamic, like that's kind of like the side the car always is always pulling towards. But and then our non-dominant dynamic feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So for me, like embracing authority feels uncomfortable. And so if I just, in human nature, we avoid being uncomfortable.
Right.
So if I just allow my normal feeling of like, that feels uncomfortable, and I veer away and I stay anchored in my default dynamic of vulnerability, we talk about then entering into a state of drift. That was a really long way of answering your question of, we define vulnerability as entering into organizational and interpersonal uncertainty. And so another way of saying that is the not knowing.
Yeah.
But if that's all you sit in is the not knowing, and you don't also to use your words, balance it, or what we would talk about as embracing authority, which we define as all of a sudden I'm tired and it feels like it's late in the day. Authority is exercising decision-making power on behalf of an organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we talk about those two dynamics, but how do you define vulnerability?
I think the best definition I've heard is to truly be vulnerable is to reveal something that people can use to hurt you.
Yeah. And that's how I would differentiate from transparency.
Yeah, that's right.
Is vulnerability is sharing, letting something be known about you that ultimately could be weaponized, per se.
Right.
So it's like, I could actually get hurt. This could come back, this could boomerang.
That's right.
And transparency is actually staying fully in control.
Yes.
And deciding what will you reveal, but it's all from a place of control.
Right.
Like I am going to manage exactly what you know about me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember thinking about this in a church, in a sermon, on a Sunday sermon, and the pastor's being, telling this
He's
story.
being transparent.
He's talking about vulnerability. And he's being very transparent. Right? It's just very like easy to do. It's just easy. And often it gets sold as, oh wow, look how vulnerable that person
That was so vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. Not at all.
No, it was manipulative.
That's right.
Yeah. It was shared for an intent. It was intent. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think leaders do that all the time. I think even good leaders get to transparent and just stop there. And it can get kind of some of the side effects of real vulnerability.
How did you move from transparency to vulnerability?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think, go back to just doing the work. So when you solve the question of, am I worthy of love? Right? When you can like really fundamentally land on yes, of course I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier to just let go a little bit of control. And
Why?
because you're not, I think so much of that control is in the effort of, self-protection. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to create any evidence to the contrary that I'm worthy of love, right? So I want to do everything I can to control the environment around me and control the outcomes so that I build the narrative of this ideal self who is so worthy of the affection of the world, right?
Yeah.
And when you let go of that, you're able to, and there's a little bit of kind of ego dissolution, like just letting go of the ego of it all. It's not, it becomes at least fathomable that you could be vulnerable, right? Where before that you couldn't even I wouldn't even have fathomed that I would get up and reveal something about me that's down in this kind of shadow part.
Right.
And I think it sets the stage for deeper trust and belief and real relationship with the people that you lead. I think, way more than just leadership, right? I mean, everything in life, I think can be richer if we can kind of let go of that.
Yeah. Work just happens to be a primary place where a lot of this plays out.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I think as I think about our team, we were together, we had our executive team together today.
Yeah.
And as I share with you, we were cold plunging and saunaing in our hippie way that we
as teams do.
As teams should, right? And you're sitting in a sauna with 8 people and you're sweating like crazy, and that's kind of a vulnerable moment, right? You're in your in your swim trunks and it was interesting, our conversation. One of the questions we answered was, what's something that you feel like you have or need to outgrow from 2025? And to go around that room and hear the honest, vulnerable answers of an executive team is like, man, and it's work to get there, right? It's been years of work to get there, but I can't imagine going back and not having it that way. So I feel pretty grateful for it.
Well, what are words that your exec team would use to describe you?
Oh man. I think purpose. I think they would, that's such a great question. Focus. I hope, I guess I would just say I hope they would use some of these words. Intentional. I think they would probably say care more than maybe not love. Maybe they wouldn't go all the way to love, but
not ready to say love yet.
They might not.
Like, I like Tony. I think Tony likes me. Yeah. We're moving towards love.
Yeah, we're moving in that direction.
Yeah.
I think they would. I think yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I kind of want to ask them now.
Yeah. The next time you guys are in the sauna together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I wonder if that was the question, and then each of you actually reflected and mirrored back to each other. Here's how I experience you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how I experience you.
Yeah. So good.
And I think part of that also is that sometimes we actually can't even see some of our greatest strengths. Either one, that it's something that comes so easy to us that we actually don't because I think that the connotation is that for it to be a superpower is like, oh, I've got to work really hard at this.
Mm,
But sometimes because it comes so easy, people don't even realize that it's the superpower that it is.
yeah. Yeah.
And then I also think too is that um, there are truths that, so if we go back to our family of origin experiences, there are just truths that we can't see, that we can't acknowledge about ourselves,
Hmm.
but they're integral to actually knowing ourselves.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
But that can only be offered from other people.
Yeah. 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 I think it's that concept of the mirror,
Yeah.
right? Being able to see accurately
Yeah.
what's there.
Yeah. What motivates you? What energizes you to do all of this?
Um, I'm really, really motivated by our team.
Hmm.
And I think the opportunity it goes back to take, that my statement earlier, take really seriously your leadership role. So I have 100 team members that are relying on us to make good decisions and move the business forward and create opportunity for them.
Yeah.
And I've met almost all of their significant others and their kids and their families, and they're relying on us. So that's very, very motivating for me. I also think that, this has been a transition for me over the last probably decade or so. I think business can make the greatest impact in the world. Like good change will come about because of good businesses, and the ripple effect that a well-run business can have on a community is massive. So if you think about it, if we run our business well, I looked at this the other day. We've paid, I don't remember the exact number, $15 million just to our top 10 vendors in Colorado in the last year. That's fantastic. Those are small businesses that we're supporting.
It's meaningful.
It's meaningful to them, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have debt as a company. If we did, we would be making debt service payments, and the lender would be happy about that, right? And our bank. We have an amazing relationship with our bank. It's just like the ripple effect of all of. I spent time the other day with the guy that handles all of our insurance needs for our different entities, and so it's not even just the team members who are making it all happen. It's the work that we do and the way that it ripples out into the city of Denver and the state of Colorado, or the city of Phoenix, or the city of Tucson, or the Kansas City, whatever city we operate in.
Yeah.
We get to have a positive impact. And I used to think that you had to be at a nonprofit to make those kind of impacts.
Yeah.
I think the opposite is true. I think that the potential for positive impact in the marketplace is exponentially higher, and we should take that seriously. We should see that opportunity.
Yeah. What you've just described is a high-performing company. And we were joking earlier about KPIs and OKRs.
Yeah.
And I share this story often. Working with another CEO here locally, and he had just described the culture at his company, and what I offered back to him was like, "Oh, that sounds like a family environment." And I thought he was going to come over the table at me. And he said, "We are not a family." And he's like, we're a high performing sports team, and everyone has a role to play, and there are expectations that we have of people. In a family, there's unconditional love, and so hey, if you make a mistake, whatever that looks like, is that you're always welcome back. And that's typically how we would describe love.
Yeah.
But you have a company that you are leading, so you're CEO. So there are performance expectations.
Yep. Absolutely.
And so how do you hold the tension between love
Mm-hmm.
and also like, hey, we do have,
Yeah.
I don't know what your company uses, but we do have objectives. We do have goals for this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're going to measure whether or not we're making progress.
That's right.
So how do you hold the two?
Yeah. I think I'm in the same boat. I've always been in the same boat. I'd always say we're not a family. People go, oh, we're the Atlas family. We're not a family. I can't fire anyone in my family. I just can't.
I'd like to.
Even if I want to, it doesn't matter. I've probably softened on that a little bit. And probably just because I don't like being binary really on anything. It's like we are a family or we aren't a family.
The black and
we're a
white.
team or we're not a team. It's like it's certainly not that simple. I do think that if you define love as wanting the greatest possible good for someone, performing well in their job is part of that.
I know you can do this.
Yeah.
I see the potential you have.
And if you can't do this, that's okay. That's okay. This just isn't the role for you, or this might not be the company for you. And that's totally fine. And it doesn't change anything about the fact that I want the greatest possible good for you. But what we've seen based on your performance is that you're not going to achieve that in the role you're in or in the company you're in.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective before. You hear, oh, it's actually kind when somebody isn't performing or it's not a fit to let them know.
Yeah.
But I hadn't thought of it from the perspective that you just framed of if you want their best, if you want their highest possible good, and this actually isn't the role that allows them to achieve their highest potential good, you actually don't want them there.
Right. Right.
You want them to be in a different role that allows them to realize
Right.
their fullest potential and good.
Yeah. If you think about it we talk a lot about human flourishing, and we want our mission statement as a company is uplift humanity through real estate. And it sounds grandiose to some. They're like, wow, humanity. Like, okay, I don't mean all of it. I mean the portion of humanity we interact with every single day.
Sure.
How do we make their interaction with us a net positive that brings value to their life? Well, we should seek human flourishing in every way that we can. And that's not just, that's not just a feel-good thing to say. I mean, as humans flourish, everything is better, right? The economy is better when humans are flourishing. So I think helping people identify, oh, you're not going to flourish in this role. And understanding too, there's an old book, I don't know if you ever read Top Grading by Bradford Smart. Do you remember this book?
Oh, absolutely. Because I worked for a CEO that treated it as like the hiring Bible.
The hiring Bible.
I mean, I can remember the top grading process.
Yeah. It's funny. The book's like this big, right?
And is my eye twitching?
Bradford Smart actually said he rewrote the book years later, and it's half the size. And he said, I think he said in an interview, or maybe it's in the forward, if your mom won't read your book, it's too long. But there's one concept in the book that I've always carried with me. He said, if you have a C player, please understand they are suffering. They're suffering.
They're not flourishing.
They're not flourishing. They don't feel good about being a C player. There's no one who looks at the report, whatever KPI report you use in your organization, and sees themselves at the bottom and goes, woohoo.
Sunday night blues.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want to.
I don't want to go.
Don't want to face the week.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So don't let them suffer.
Why is this so hard then?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, there's probably so many answers. Why is it so hard?
Because as I sit here right now, it's like, yes, of course.
All sounds great, right?
Right.
Just do this.
Right.
I think a lot of it is, at least for us, we want to create opportunity for people to grow and flourish. We can't carry them there ourselves. So back to do your own work a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People got to do their own work. And there may be, and you can give that feedback and you can, encourage people along a certain path.
Yeah.
But you can't carry them on your back. You just can't do it.
Hmm.
And I think if you do, you're not loving them.
Hmm.
You're not seeking their greatest good. They need to be able to do it themselves.
Hmm.
And so I think that's part of why it's so hard. We're just kind of inundated now with there's so many dynamics around our own comfort, everything we do to avoid any form of suffering,
Mhm.
any form of pain. We're in the property management business. Like there's just not a lot of positives. Like nobody calls you and says, man, paying rent this month was so great. You don't get that call. So we talk a lot in our company about your container for negativity and your ability to take that in and process it and then let it go. And there's an emotional maturity that's necessary to be able to do that. And that's probably true in a lot of roles, in a lot of businesses. So I hear what you're saying. I think I'm saying some of the things I'm saying. It's just like, man, it sounds so easy. It's not. It's really hard. And but it's hard either way, right? So you can come at it and say all this love. Tony's love BS. You can take that angle if you want. It's fine. Your life isn't easier. You're still dealing with people. You're still dealing with their development, where they are, and trying to figure out how they can be most productive at work. You're dealing with all the same stuff. I think you get better results if that person knows that you fundamentally care about them. So I think you got to start there. I think.
How do you, in that framework, how do you hire?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the biggest challenge, right? Is identify. We talk a lot about fully formed adults. That's from somebody else. I don't know. Some big company has used that language. We've adopted it.
Yeah.
We want fully formed adults on our team. We do a lot of shadowing and spending time. Like, let's help you understand what this role is. And we really try to avoid, confirmation bias in the hiring process. So there's multiple steps, multiple people, different personalities, right? If you're hiring a sales guy, your sales guy shouldn't interview him because sales guys just love each other,
Mutual admiration society.
Mutual admiration, exactly. And so I think that has helped us a lot. I think too, our team, we have our average tenure is about, I think it's 4 times the industry average.
Wow.
That means people bring other people with them too, right? So that's been the best way that we've attracted talent is a team member saying, you got to come work here. And that goes a long way.
Yeah.
So, but we do engagement surveys, we do, all this stuff, and we're measuring the feedback, and people want to be developed. They want to see career paths. I think it's one of the biggest challenges in a mid-sized company is career pathing, right? I came from a top 4 bank in the country. It's like 250,000 team members. Like you can career path 90 different ways, right?
Right.
And when you have 100 team members, it's like,
yeah, you're limited.
You're limited in that career pathing. So you got to do other things to create that stickiness. I don't know if I answered your question, but.
At this point, I can't even remember what my question was.
I have that effect on people.
I'm just mesmerized, Tony.
I meant I talk too much.
What do you look at as one of your biggest leadership successes?
For me, it's looking back at people that were on my team and where they are today. And people that own businesses, people that have risen corporate ladders, either in the organization I was in or elsewhere. That's really fun, right? That's I helped them get what they wanted. And that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of when when I go on LinkedIn and reconnect with someone, go, oh wow, how cool you're doing this now, and we talked about you getting to this place and you did it, and so those are the big wins, right? Being able to see people really grow and develop. I also think there's moments where you see people kind of recover some hope. We've had people come to our organization from from other companies in our industry, from nonprofits in our city, and a little bit disillusioned, right? Maybe attracted to this idea that we've got this grandiose mission statement of uplifting humanity.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit cynical.
Yeah.
And then a year later, hearing someone say, oh, you meant it. We're actually doing that every day. That does actually inspire and motivate everything we do.
Yeah.
And so seeing people recover maybe a little bit of hope, those are powerful, reminders of the importance of what we're doing.
Well, what that sounds like is, I hesitate to use this word, but delighting. I don't know why I hesitate to use it, but delighting in the flourish. Going back to what you were talking about earlier, is delighting in their flourishing.
Yeah.
Like you've seen that they're in this place where they're flourishing now.
Yeah, that's great. I love the word delight.
You do?
I do. I'm glad you used it. And I think that it's just such a good word for, who was it? Maya Angelou who said, people won't remember what you said. They'll remember how you made them feel. Was that her quote?
I don't know. I'm familiar with the quote. I don't know who said it.
We're going to say it's Maya Angelou.
That seems to fit. Yeah.
Checks out. Think about people that are delighted with you and how you feel around them.
Yeah.
Like that's a powerful thing.
Super powerful. So
I love that word. And there aren't many people in life who I feel like, oh man, they just they didn't want anything from me. There was no other motivation or they just felt like our time together was delightful.
Yeah.
Like, oh, how cool.
Yeah. This feels like a hard pivot off that. So the other side of the coin is what are some of the biggest leadership mistakes? What's one big leadership mistake or misstep that you've made? And what did you learn from it?
I feel like of all the leaders I've heard ask this question, a lot of them have the same answer, which is they did not move fast enough when they knew. And I think of that a lot. So whether it's, I know this person isn't the right fit for this role, I know this investment that we're about to make probably isn't going to turn out the way we think it is. It's kind of that when you should move. And so I think the pursuit of certainty is just a huge mistake. And I think it's the Marine Corps that calls it the 70% rule. If you're 70% sure, you move or you die. And if you went the wrong way, you should turn around. And I think a lot of times in taking seriously your care for your organization and for your team, you try to get to these levels of certainty that just they're not possible. That's not reality. So move quickly. I think velocity really matters when it comes to business. So I think that's a mistake that I've seen play out a few times in my career, whether it was around a leader that we had in place that, the signs were there and I maybe just didn't want to see them for whatever reason, whether that's, I don't want to admit I was wrong on that hire or I don't really want to go through the hassle of replacing that person. Or even sometimes the belief that, hey, maybe this is just as good as it could get, right? You just need to move quickly when you know. That's a big one for me. I also think we started a business 3 years ago, inside our company to do repairs and maintenance and make ready construction on assets we were purchasing. And man, we misjudged how difficult that was going to be. And I think that's another mistake that we make sometimes is just, how hard can this be? We figure this out. And it's just never, it's always going to be substantially harder than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And we lost a lot of money and we had a lot of mess ups and I stood up in front of our company 2 years ago and said, this is on me. And I owe all of you an apology. I completely misjudged what it was going to take to stand this up. And it's caused us reputational harm and things that we had to go out and fix. So I think that's another big one is just do your best to understand what the lift is and then just understand you have underestimated it.
Just discount it.
Just be ready. Be ready.
It's interesting. Everything you're describing fits in, at least to me, fits in that authority vulnerability framework. So when I hear you talk about, when you know, so make the decision. So that's embrace the authority.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also described, how do you operate with less certainty? Which is the vulnerability piece. And so it's just both of those dynamics in play.
Yeah.
And they're in tension with each other.
Yeah, that's right.
But one of the things you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation is, hey, we actually have a lot of conflict and healthy conflict as an executive team. And I'm a big believer that tension or conflict actually leads to better outcomes.
Yeah.
But very, very, very few teams actually know how to have conflict in a way that's productive and effective.
Right. Yeah. It's hard.
What do you see? Well, what do you see on your team as what comes out of healthy conflict on your team?
Yeah. I think, think of it as kind of a Socratic method, right? Of we're just not going to assume what you said is right.
Yeah.
We're going to question it.
Yeah.
And hopefully by all of that questioning, we get to, a more believable outcome or a more resilient outcome.
Yeah.
So I think it is, I say we have a lot of conflict. Nobody's throwing chairs. It'd be more fun.
It's not Jerry Springer.
Yeah, no. But it is
That's
quick to say. But it is quick to say. We have a few people on our team that tend to be very certain. Right? They'll say, "Well, this is how it is," and it's really helpful when someone else on the team goes, "I don't think it's that clear. I completely disagree with you." And to have the freedom to say, "Man, you're being really certain right now. Why do you have this kind of certainty?" And for that person to know, oh, we've talked about this as a team, you kind of tend to be a little certain on things. And guess what? Your batting average isn't that, you shouldn't be so certain.
Yeah.
It's not that much better than anybody else's in the room, right? So because we've been able to have those conversations and say, kind of what you talked about a minute ago, being able to say, hey, I experience you this way.
Yeah.
And I think that leads us into being able to really question each other well. And you're questioning ideas, you're questioning thought process, you're questioning assumptions.
Yeah.
There's no doubt for anyone in that room, the level of commitment or care. So no one's questioning that, right? It doesn't get personal. It doesn't cross any of those kind of boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think it works.
Yeah. Typically when that phrase, it feels personal, or whenever if it does feel personal to you, I always say that's your first warning sign that it's actually you.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
That's right. It's good.
we're no longer talking about, hey, whether or not to offer these services to,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I have a friend who runs about 150 person company and smaller exec team. He's CEO, has a CFO and a COO.
Hmm.
And what he says is that if they're talking about something and they're all in agreement,
Yeah.
like out of the gate, they're just in alignment on it, is somebody has to steel man the
Yeah.
opposite side.
Yeah.
It's just like, wait, if we're all in agreement, what are we missing?
Right.
Just coming back to that idea that conflict, or I mean, use another name for it, but a different perspective, an opposing perspective, can actually add value.
That's exactly right.
And so how do you create an environment where the different perspectives are
Yep.
welcomed and invited? Hey, because you actually want the best outcome.
Right. Yeah. We have the same rule. If we quickly get to a conclusion, we got to start over.
Wait. That was too fast.
Yeah. Hold on. We are definitely missing something.
Yeah.
And I do think it's easier to do that with a smaller team for sure.
Yeah.
So our executive team is intentionally large and diverse, and that is wildly valuable to me.
Yeah.
Now I tend to want more input and collaboration.
Yeah.
So while I lean toward authority, I have no problem making a decision and being, taking authority. I do want a lot of input. So, and I think the kind of leader you are, if you're open to that kind of more Socratic method, why are you thinking about it this way? Why aren't you? That's interesting. It's just like these different angles.
Yeah.
And, we have a guy on our team who's our chief experience officer. We all own real estate. So we're a real estate company focused on real estate. But he's never been in the weeds on the property management side of the business. Right. So when he says, hey, have you thought about this? That's an entirely different perspective than the guy that's operating the property management business.
Sure.
And our chief investment officer, comes from a very different perspective. So it's getting that diversity in the room, I think, leads to great conflict. So it's rare that we all agree quickly. If we do, it's like, all right, we got to reset on that. Or maybe it's just like that clear, but we're gonna double check for sure.
Yeah. Tony, Julianelle, thanks for being on the podcast today. Where can people find you if they have more interest in Atlas or want to connect with you?
Our website's realatlas.com.
Great.
And you're welcome to email me, Tony@realatlas.com.
Love it. Tony, thanks again.
Thanks for having me, man. This was fun.